What's the funniest thing you believed in when a child? When I was 10, I had this completely ordinary Thursday that somehow turned into one of the most memorable moments of my childhood. My mom picked me up from school first, as usual, then we drove over to my siblings' elementary school to pick them up. It was one of those days where the halls were decked out with student projects and decorations, mostly for a cultural awareness unit. Paper children from all over the world were taped along the walls, each one wearing traditional clothing from their respective countries. I remember stopping in front of one particular display, a Mexican boy with a giant sombrero. The brim was absurdly wide, like it could double as a table. Being 10, my brain immediately focused on the impracticality. I turned to my mom and asked, "Why is the brim so big?" expecting a boring answer about shade or sun protection. She looked me dead in the eyes, completely serious, and said, "Well, where else are they supposed to put the fish to keep them alive?" I froze for a second. The words registered, but the concept did not. "What?" I said. She nodded, like this was perfectly normal, and explained how Mexicans apparently fill the brim of the sombrero with water to keep the little fish they catch alive. She gestured vaguely with her hands as if showing me how the fish would flop around in there, perfectly content. My first instinct was to call BS. It seemed absurd, but she had this look of total sincerity that made it impossible to immediately dismiss. I decided I needed confirmation. My siblings' teacher, Mrs. Dawson, always walked them out to meet us, and she was friends with my mom. So as soon as we saw her, I asked straight up, "Do Mexicans wear sombreros and fill the rims with water to keep the fish they catch alive?" Mrs. Dawson looked at me, then at my mom, then at my siblings. Her expression never changed. Not a hint of a smile, not a flicker of doubt. She said plainly, "Yes." I don't think I've ever experienced a mix of awe, disbelief, and excitement all at once. As a fifth grader, I had just been handed what I considered a life-changing fact. This was huge. I could tell my friends at school, impress them with this obscure, exotic piece of knowledge, and they would believe me because my mom and a teacher both confirmed it. I could feel my status rising already. That weekend, I rehearsed the story in my head. I even drew a little diagram in my notebook, labeling the brim fish reservoir. I practiced explaining it so everyone would understand the mechanics, how the sombrero held water, how it kept the fish alive, and how apparently it was completely normal in Mexico. I was ready for science class, recess, lunch, any moment where I could casually drop the fact and have everyone gape at my worldly knowledge. Monday came, and we were going over North American history and culture in school. My moment arrived. I was sitting in the back row, hands itching with excitement, waiting for the perfect pause to speak. When the discussion turned to Mexican culture, I raised my hand, practically vibrating with anticipation. "Did you know," I started, trying to sound casual but failing spectacularly, "that Mexican children put little fish in the brims of their sombreros to keep them alive?" Every head turned. Some kids laughed nervously, some looked genuinely impressed, and I could tell the teacher was about to intervene. But before she could, I noticed my mom's glare at the edge of the classroom. She hadn't come in with me, of course, but she'd obviously been told I was going to tell everyone about the fish. I felt my stomach drop. Suddenly, my cool fact didn't feel so cool anymore. I mumbled the rest, realizing halfway through that maybe not everyone needed to know about fish reservoirs and sombreros. My friend's eyes were wide with either disbelief or horror. I couldn't tell which. I tried to laugh along, but the truth was, I was completely humiliated. After that, I never shared a fact my mom had told me ever again. Not because it wasn't interesting, not because it wasn't true in her mind, but because the combination of parental authority, teacher affirmation, and public embarrassment was more than a 10-year-old could handle. I learned that some things, no matter how cool they seem at home, are better left unspoken in front of a classroom of peers. Even now, I remember the sombrero, the wide brim full of imaginary fish, my mom's deadpan delivery, and Mrs. Dawson's unwavering affirmation. It's a story that still makes me smile, though I'll never admit it to anyone else. That day, I learned two things. Some facts are too good to be true, and fifth grade is ruthless when it comes to public knowledge.